Today's October 22nd, 2025. Current Bitcoin price is $108,281.
Welcome to the BitBite podcast, your source for news and information about Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency space. This podcast is meant for educational and entertainment purposes only and is not financial advice.
Man, oh man, what a wild ride. If you would have told me, and we kind of talked about this last episode, but I was so confident October was going to happen, that it was going to be the thing. And it started off kind of that way.
Oh, it looked good. It was a good start. Man, my body was ready. And then,
my body was telling me yes.
And then somebody told me no. But, yeah, no, you just never know with Bitcoin.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
And this cycle has been throwing all sorts of curveballs. I mean, it's the curveballs haven't been as drastic, but it just feels more plentiful. The exuberance isn't there, but the fear sometimes does come back, rears its ugly head.
When it's like anytime everything starts to get kind of hyper bullish, right? Like wherever we start to see like strong movements, something always rocks that boat.
They get kneecapped pretty quick. Yeah,
they do. I don't know. It's interesting for sure. It's a weird cycle. Let's go into our theoreticals real quick before we dive into some of the other stuff that we're going to talk about here.
Okay, first theoretical bought back in 2023 October, and $3,000 back then would have netted you 0.0885 Bitcoin, and that $3,000 investment is now worth $9,583. So $9,583. It's last episode we were over 10,000, so it's a little bit sad, but still good.
It's a little bit sad.
A little bit sad. But, I mean, I don't know if Bitcoin's ever getting to that level again, so that's one that you definitely will buy. I would suggest buying and holding.
Yeah.
The second purchase at the halving in 2024, so that was basically April 2024, $1,000 right at the halving would have bought you 0.01564 Bitcoin, and that at today's price is worth $1,694. So still a 69% increase. Though, it's a little bit sad again.
A little bit sad again. You know what, though? I mean, those are still, that first one was just, that was amazing. $9,583 off $3,000. Like, that's those things where you tell people about Bitcoin and they can't believe you because everybody's so caught up in the present moment. And I mean, even the year ago, I mean, 1694, it's not horrible, just not what we would hope to see right now at this part of the cycle.
Oh, that's the thing. I think that first theoretical purchase was the rumors of the Bitcoin ETFs with BlackRock the rumors were gaining steam.
Yeah.
So I think the price had broken to like 34,000 or maybe it was 37, but it was going up in a quick way, and it really never got back to that price ever since. So, and that's really the time to buy is when everyone's down or, before the boosters get ignition on the boosters happens, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was basically time perfect for that elevator ride back up, like out of the doldrums, kind of starting to come back up out of the shadows, basically. I want to say that was right after the bottom of the market. And we're starting to come back up.
Yeah. Well, it'd been a little while. Actually, the real bottom thing that got us out of the bottom of the market was the Silicon Valley Bank.
Oh yeah,
implosion.
And that
happened a few months before that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we started to come back out of the trenches there. One of the things that's interesting too, when we're looking at this, and we're looking at the chart right now of the ETF flows, again, talking about the beginning of the month, October 6th, we had almost $1 billion. There's 1.2 actually total in inflows. Following day, there was 875 million, 440 million. The ninth, 197 million. And then we started to see kind of the turn. BlackRock is even starting to sell off some. They did have a positive inflow day on the 21st. We had 210 million that kind of flowed in that day, but that's not enough to make up for what was wiped out basically in the 5 previous days prior to that. And we'll still have to kind of see. Like, I'm guessing we had kind of an upturn over the weekend. We were sitting at 113,000, I think, going into Monday. And yeah, just wasn't able to kind of hold itself together. But there was also something else that's kind of interesting that took place, and that was with gold, right? Like, what was the gold market? What happened there? Do you know off the top of your head?
I don't know off the top of my head. I know gold had reached somewhere around 4,400 roughly. And then next thing you know, it's down to 4,000, closer to 4,000, like in just a matter of hours. It was falling.
Yeah.
And you said a lot of people were giving crap to Peter Schiff on Twitter.
Well, because anytime the Bitcoin makes any type of moves where it's like, because Bitcoin is known for its volatility. So when it sees a pretty sharp correction, Peter Schiff is one of those the first to say, like, oh, your store of value is not holding its value so well. You should have bought gold instead. And not that gold has done bad. I think you and I both have said on this podcast multiple times, like, Bitcoin's a good thing to have. Gold's a good thing to have. Hard assets in general. I think hopefully we've tried to get that across to folks. People that listen to us, get hard assets. You need that. But yeah, people are giving Peter Schiff crap saying, where's your store of value now? Like, you got that kind of a abrupt correction that takes place. But gold has had a really good year so far.
No, it's had a great year. Really, the past 3 years have been fantastic for gold. I mean, it was stuck at $1,800 for years and years, and then it broke out of that. I mean, just thinking about how much gold has increased in that time. Purchasing gold, before that rally, that's a pretty good increase.
Yeah,
it's well over 100% increase right there.
No,
granted,
sure.
Bitcoin usually does a lot better. I mean, not quite that $3,000 purchase of Bitcoin in theoretical number one, right?
Yeah. Well, that theoretical number one, like, that's the type of stories that I like. When you can put that in front of people and let them understand, like, this is how much was invested. This is what you got. Now, you had to sit on it. You couldn't do anything with it. You had to ride it through the highs, lows, whatever the case may be. And even when it was doubled, you had to be like, all right, well, I'm going to double down on this horse and continue to watch it ride. But I mean, that's the power of Bitcoin and letting it kind of just continue to grow. There's also been all kinds of different rumors. We were talking about one before the podcast kind of got going, and it sounds like the Republicans and Democrats may actually have a Bitcoin and crypto structure bill that they may be able to get kind of going here pretty soon. It threw me off just because it's like, well, aren't they in shutdown and they've got to really be concentrating on a budget right now? But I don't know. I don't understand how any of that works in that sense.
Yeah, you wouldn't think. I mean, they can meet. Congress can, because they're supposed to come up with some type of thing that maybe end this shutdown, some type of budget resolution. But it'd be kind of crazy to me if they come up with some piece of legislation and don't, fix the shutdown. I mean, how long has it been now?
21 days or something like that. Yeah. It's been a while.
Weeks?
Yeah. It's gone on for quite some time. And, we talked about that before too, like the jobs report numbers, like they couldn't print that, right? There's just been all kinds of weird stuff.
Nope. We're shut down.
We're shut down. No numbers. Even though the numbers have got to be sitting there on a computer. It's not like it's being carved in stone, but nope. You can't have them. So it's kind of weird. It looks like about 5 days ago, Jerome Powell kind of gave a speech that was talking about, it sounds like he's shifting his tone finally on the economy, which with the reports that we've had with the job market, like obviously the stock market's done fairly well during this whole time, but the labor market's what's been hurting. We've been continuing to see a reduction in jobs in the United States. And so Powell, he signals more rate cuts are ahead. And it is unchanged by the inflation outlook. We kind of touched on that, either last episode or the previous episode before that, where even the tariffs haven't had that big of an impact on inflation. So maybe 0.5%. And depending on I think you were saying like it depends on the segment, right?
Yeah. I'm just kind of waiting for when the Fed does finally react, it's going to be just too dang late.
Yes. Well, they always work off of lagging indicators, right? It's never, that's the problem.
They're never ahead of the curve.
No.
They're always catching up.
Yeah.
I mean, go back to when Janet Yellen said the inflation was going to be transitory.
Yeah. That turned out really good. And so right now the Fed is kind of signaling that they're going to halt their quantitative tightening right now. Not right now. They're going to do it soon. As to what the heck that means, obviously it sounds like they're waiting for something to break before they start hitting, back to liquidity support with their money. Tensions still continue to loom between China and the U.S. on the tariffs. I think China has not put in a soybean order, I think, in the past year now. Yeah,
which is, I wouldn't say unprecedented, but that's pretty dang rare.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Powell, like, as much as he wanted to play chicken with Trump, it looks like he's blinking. Rate cuts are back. Quantitative tightening is on life support. And it's hard to say, like, Bitcoin kind of popped initially on the news, but then it's kind of retraced back from where it was based off of that information. Another thing that's kind of interesting, and this goes back into, we talked about this in the last episode. If we are in the 4-year cycle, we are approaching the peak of that cycle, of where we would expect to see the peak. And it looks like whales are starting to move. A lot of the old OG whales. Reportedly, 892,000 Bitcoin have moved from long inactive wallets to exchanges since January. Exchange inflows spike over 17,000 Bitcoin, which is kind of funny because not too long ago, it was probably about a month ago, we had probably the lowest amount of Bitcoin on exchanges that we had seen in, I think they had said, close to a decade. And now we're starting to spike over 17,000 Bitcoin on the exchanges post the crash that took place after the new recent all-time high. So it's kind of weird. The whales, when they start to move, we haven't seen all the market indicators that prove that we've peaked. But when the whales start positioning like this, they're usually the first ones that sell, at the tops.
Yep. And that's why they have so much Bitcoin, is because they time it pretty well. I don't think that their timing is necessarily a coincidence or pure skill. I think there's a little bit of coordination going on there, but I mean, a lot of people are trying to justify that this cycle is going to keep going. And the thing is maybe we did top out at 126, and maybe this is like the kind of the dead cat bounce area, and then we just go off the cliff.
And that is totally possible.
I'm not saying that's what I believe is going to happen, but you have to be open to all possibilities.
Yeah, we don't know if we knew what was going to happen, we wouldn't be doing this podcast with such low production value. We'd be in a studio and you guys would be like, oh yeah, man, look at this. We got charts and we're doing stuff. But, it's one of those things where you don't know what's going to happen. However, that's what history tells us is about to happen. Somebody was posting, I think I was on X first thing this morning, and one of the first things I saw was somebody was like, hey, can you name this pattern? And somebody put on their falling knife. And of course it's a Bitcoin chart, right? Like, so if that's the case, like, we could be expecting a lot of a harsher move than what we've seen so far. We could see sub 100,000 here shortly.
Yeah.
But
Well, but I mean, if we're going to take any indication from all these whales moving into, the exchanges, that would lead me to believe, I mean, they're the smart money. So they believe that now is the time to get into the markets. And I would just assume that they think that there's going to be one final pump before they dump.
yeah.
So that's what I read from that.
And I have a feeling if there is something like that, if this is going to be the top, which I mean could totally happen in November, and you're completely right on this, we may see a major sell-off sub 100,000, and then it'll rally like no tomorrow. And then when people are just
hit my $150,000 target that I've been calling for so long, I feel.
And once it hits that, like it's going to be one of those things where it's going to be like people are going to be in disbelief when it happens. And then everybody's going to jump in because they're like, oh, this rocket ship's going to keep going. And then it's going to crater.
And then they're going to look like Wile E. Coyote chasing that Roadrunner.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And that's why, I think I've talked about it on the podcast before where I'm like, I have a niece that I've been wanting to invest some money into Bitcoin, but I'm like, we're too close to the top. I can't give in good conscience recommendation for it.
Yeah, no, I'm all about buying Bitcoin, but you better buy and hold. Yeah. And I have a feeling if you buy right now, you're going to be waiting 4 years before you're looking smart again, at least 3.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And so I can't in good conscience encourage my loved ones to buy right now.
No, I can't either. Now, the last one I'm going to bring up, this is going to be controversial, but it's about debt cycle distortions. So as we recall, back in 2021, we had that nasty little COVID thing, and there was a crazy 2020, 2021. There was crazy injections of liquidity. It was basically like the macro equivalent of the DJA scratching on the vinyl with how it was put down there. It was messy and off tempo.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah, out of nowhere. And so there's a theory going around, and I think Raoul Powell may have been talking about this, but there's a theory going around that we're looking at a cycle compression from the COVID era stimulus. And it's compressed a multi-year deleveraging phase into quarters. Basically, part of what they're saying with this is that the market soaked in so much liquidity during that time that it lagged the classic liquidity distortions that we used to get. Therefore, basically, is what they're saying is that it goes from being like a 4-year cycle to a 5-year cycle with waves in between for the macro rates. So, and it's the macro debt cycle. It's the short-term cycle. And Bitcoin historically has always followed that 4-year cycle. Delayed rate hikes outstretched the downturn phase, making the cycle longer and less predictable than what it was previously. And so I don't know how much I believe this, but it's saying that the old playbooks are needing a rewrite because of what happened during that time. And I know tell me your thoughts, because I know you're going to be like, eh.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that's kind of trippy about this cycle and that's kind of throwing everyone off, including myself, is this just feels like it happened. It's been going on longer. Like we really hit the bull phase before the halving.
Yeah.
I mean, we've never had an all-time high before a halving. That's unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it didn't stay above the previous all-time high. It hit it, and then it kind of, what up 73, and then it crashed down. Then it was kind of bouncing between 60 and 70 for a long time.
Yeah.
And that, I think that's kind of like, I think it's almost like you just look up and you just, man, I'm tired. Like I've been tracking this pretty hard for over 1.5 years now. And this is just like, this is kind of exhausting. I don't want this to happen, but at least when the momentum fades off Bitcoin, we know what we're in for.
Yeah.
And now we just look at it every once in a while, instead of with hope, was just more dread. But, it's kind of rough when you get up to 126,000. You're like, dang, I can't wait to see where it goes from here.
Yeah, and then it just
It goes straight to 112 or whatever it is from here. So
yeah, it's odd because not only did did we hit an all-time high before the halving, but we also had it was almost a shortened crypto winter too because of that.
yeah.
Right? Like typically when we're starting to run back up, we were already past the barn doors and we were going into new, we were in price discovery mode.
No, that's part of it too. And it's just feels way longer. And I think that some people are starting to think that, hey, because the price hasn't gotten to where they were hoping it was going to get this, in this cycle, I think we're kind of making excuses for why it's going to last longer than it really will.
Yeah.
And I still think by the end of 2025, we're going to go into full on winter. And, I've seen a lot of different things on Twitter where people, the 4-year cycle's dead, all this other stuff. And I don't believe it's dead because as long as Bitcoin is measured to, fiat currencies, specifically the dollar and the euro, that's it. The 4-year cycle is going to continue, at least for a while. It's when those fiat currencies die a horrible death that they will eventually face. That's when Bitcoin really becomes the measure of the world.
Yeah. At that point, we're in super cycle, right? Like at that point, that's Bitcoinization takes place, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's the thing. We think that Bitcoin is really expensive right now, and we think it may, it's 108,000. We've seen it higher. I think we will see it at a time when it's lower than this, but at some point in future time, say 10 years from now, you could look back and say, I could have bought Bitcoin for, 108,000. Man, I should have hopped on that, in a second. Because a lot of people were saying the same thing about Bitcoin at 10,000.
Yeah.
If you could go back in time and buy the Bitcoin at 10,000, I bet a lot of people would be, if we had that time machine, a lot of people would be booking a trip.
They would have done that in a heartbeat. They would have taken that all day long. All day long. Be like, yeah. Anyways, yeah. I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know. Is it we're going to have a lengthened cycle, or is it going to be? I don't know if I'd say full on 5-year. I still don't think we're at the top, but I could be wrong. 69,000 to 126,000. It's almost a doubling of money, but not quite, but close. Yeah. I don't know.
Granted, the previous time it went from,
20.
The previous all-time high was like 20 or almost 20.
It was almost
over
20.
60.
Yep.
To almost 69. Actually, it hit 69.
Nice. That's right. Yeah. I don't know. It's anybody's game. And I think we're going to have to kind of wait and see. I do think there is room. Like if the Fed cuts rates again, we see like a major liquidity pump in November. We'll see, because Thanksgiving is typically an interesting indicator, right? We won't see that Thanksgiving pump that we've seen in the past, where it's the day after Thanksgiving and everybody talks about the crazy crypto gains that they've gotten. But we'll see. Do you think give it one more month?
I say maybe one more month. Is Thanksgiving kind of late this year?
Yeah, it is.
Like the 28th?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I have a feeling it'll be over by Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay. Well, that's pretty good. It's a good time frame.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm not betting a whole lot. I'm just saying, I think we got a month left, and that's a pretty long cycle. It will feel like the longest bull cycle ever.
Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have for right now. I would be cautious, I suppose, kind of right now, kind of along with what you're saying, a lot of ways. So I don't know. We'll have to see where it goes. We'll have to see what happens over this next week. But of course, we'll record again next week and we'll see what's going on. When we first started this podcast, it was right after the peak, right? of the last cycle.
Yeah, we kind of, I think we recorded and it was hitting about 69 or something,
Yeah.
68. So we started right at the top, and then got to ride that rough ride down to the bottom.
Shared that with y'all. So yeah, I personally want to just say thank you all for listening.
Yep. Thank you. That, and I'm tired, boss.
I'm tired, boss. We'll talk to y'all soon.